Have you gotten used to being introduced as a professional basketball player yet?
No, that's a coach. And I was like awful though for like so many years.
You're 9.
I was 9.
Okay. Biggest pet peeve.
When you're walking and someone's like behind you and you hear their feet.
Is it the sound or the fact that they're so close behind you?
Both.
I get the being close, that's kind of weird, but like the sound is just like that's nobody's fault. Like I feel like you gotta talk that out with someone later.
I have a few pet peeves. I can't really think about them right now. They're like the basic ones, like when people like
read in libraries and go swimming in public pools. Like it's just. What's going on, everybody? You're listening and watching to the Eskandy Sports Podcast, formerly the #1 podcast on my street, but I just got wind that the neighbors' kids are actually starting one up, so I can't say it confidently anymore. But I can say this is my mom's favorite podcast, and I'm really excited for today's guest. She went to Waterdown High School, Blessed Sacrament, Algoma, Carleton, and now professional basketball player Marlee Ball. Have you gotten used to being introduced as a professional basketball player yet?
No, it sounds a little weird, but I mean, it's nice to hear that.
Why don't you tell everyone all about yourself right now and where you currently are?
So I actually, once I graduated from Carleton, I was looking to go back for another year, seeing as I have 1 year of eligibility left. But then with obviously with COVID and everything, they decided to cancel the first half and then later the second half of the season. So pretty much the whole season. So I thought I'd look into options in Europe and see if I could get anything, especially with the pandemic. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get anything. So I looked into that, and then I found this opportunity here in Cardiff. It's like in Wales, so in the United Kingdom. So I got here a few weeks ago and we've been practicing, so it's been nice to be able to play basketball, especially with the time like now. So
yeah, I was reading what I could online about you, and one of the writings about you was talking about how you were graduating this year. I think this is in February, like right before the pandemic.
yeah.
And it was right after your senior night, and they quoted you as you're probably coming back because you had 1 year of school left and you had one more of eligibility left, and then the world changed, right? So what about that process of going pro? You said you're looking around, so how did that work out from your end?
So basically, I think it started in August, I believe. I was gonna look into more options. So I made like a mixtape in literally a day. It took me all day. I didn't realize how long they take.
Oh, it takes a while.
It does. So I asked like my friend, my teammate from Carleton, like how she did it, and then I'd spent all day doing that, and then I asked like a few girls who have been through the process, just like how you even reach out to an agent, or like where do you even start? So basically I honestly just Googled a bunch of stuff. I sent like probably like 100 emails, just like stating like my position, my height, like my stats, all that stuff. And so once I like narrowed it down to a few agencies, ended up just signing with one of them, and basically from then on he would just like keep me updated on like any progress or any teams I might have interest. But again, with COVID, it was tough because like obviously teams have been cutting their budgets and everything. They've been cutting some players, and especially being like a first year player, like I don't really.
We lost you for a second there.
Oh,
So
sorry.
no, you're back. Hopefully this podcast works out.
Okay.
So let's go all the way back. I like to take a timeline approach with the guests and see how they got to where they are. So we're gonna go all the way back to whoever first put a basketball in your hand. When did it get started?
Um, I started playing when I was 9. So basically I was just like not into sports at all. I actually was taking like art classes and then I think like when I saw like my sister and my cousins playing soccer, I was like, I kind of want to play like a sport. And there was Flamborough Fire Basketball Club. There was like a tryout. I think they just really needed, from what I remember, I think they needed girls to come out because they were a new club and everything. So I played for Jovina Deluizio. She was my high school coach, and I was like awful though for like so many years.
You were 9.
I was 9.
Were there any good 9-year-olds?
Well, I mean nowadays they're like they're really
Sure.
good, but I could not play basketball. I just really just did it for fun. Obviously, I was a kid, so it took a while for me to like become more competitive and more serious about it.
So you get started with basketball, and then when did it like pick up for you? When did we start turning the curve?
Um, Honestly, I think like I obviously started to get better once I hit like 13, 14. Um, but even then it wasn't like I was playing rep basketball since the age of 9. So I was playing competitively in a sense, but I feel like it wasn't until like grade 8 or 9 I actually like wanted to be better, and then until I think grade 10 I decided like I want to play post secondary, but it wasn't really something like I was actively thinking of. I just knew I wanted to play college or university or something. So probably like grade 10 when you're like 16.
And when did playing college or university become like a realistic opportunity for you?
Um Probably a few years after that. Or actually no, probably like the year after that I would say like um I know in grade 12 though. So how old are you in grade 12? 18. I got cut.
I think
I
so.
got cut from all the jewel. So back when
Mhm.
I was playing, jewel was like the highest level. So I got cut from like 3 teams, and then I played in like a lower level OBA team, and
Mhm.
then that's actually where I got recruited from Algoma, which is like a funny story how that works. And then the following year, I went back for uh, a victory lap, and then I played Blessed Jewel. And so I feel like when I got recruited by Algoma, I did get a few looks from schools in the States, but it wasn't until like late high school when I actually knew it was gonna like happen, if that makes sense.
And what are those factors that you considered? Was it like I'm looking scholastically, or I'm more looking for like a chance to really compete, or
Um, well, I chose Algoma because I knew that they were new to the OUA, so I
Mhm.
knew that I would get a lot of minutes. So I
So
was
it
look
was a basketball decision.
yeah, it was 100%, yeah. It was a basketball decision. I decided I wanted to go to university though, like after I graduated, I had to go
Mhm.
back for the victory lap just to like take a certain amount of
Mhm.
university courses to get to university. So it wasn't until that victory lap where I wanted to go play university instead of college. So
About your first year there and how you got adjusted to the college or the university type of basketball.
sorry, could you repeat that? You cut out.
Oh yeah, okay. So we are in different continents, so this is gonna be this is gonna be a tough pod. Um, so we're in Algoma, and you have to make the jump between high school level OBA level basketball and university level basketball. Can you talk about that adjustment period?
Oh, it was definitely tough, like mentally and physically, I would say. I wasn't expecting it to be such a change, I would say. So just like basically we went there I think training camp was like the last 2 weeks of August. So, and it's like 8 hours away from home. So I wasn't used to being away from home either. But it's just a lot. Like it's just like a whole different environment than OBA high school, what I was used to. So I really had to like I tried to do what I could, like it was all new to me. So
I one of your old teammates, Kiara Lamoureux, Lamoureux,
Carrera, yeah.
Carrera. Okay, yeah. So she was telling me that story about how I think it was your first practice or training camp day at Algoma, and you guys had or two a day, and then you had to run after, and like she was super positive about the running. She loved long distance running,
Oh
and
yeah.
then and you were a little bit behind. I'm like, I think most people are gonna resonate with you in that story because running after practice does not seem fun at all, especially for a long distance.
Oh yeah, no. Carrera was always positive and she's like super fit. So she just loved whenever we did conditioning and all that stuff. And I hated it. So and it was tough. Like you practice hard for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then you have to go and run after. I was like, did we not just do running in practice?
Yeah, for sure. So your first college game had had to happen at some point. How did you deal with nervousness and anxiousness in your first year?
Um, that was a while ago. I'm trying to think. I've always been someone that gets like nervous before a game, even probably until this day. But I just tried to tell myself like it's just a game. Like it's a game. I've played many games before, and I wasn't the only rookie in the league. So I knew that there was other girls going through the same thing that I was going through. So I really just tried to like just work as hard as I could and you know push those
No,
nerves aside a little bit.
no pregame ritual you developed or any sort of coping mechanisms for nerves?
um I have to have a nice coffee before every game.
Really?
But that's pretty much it. I would listen to music. Yeah.
I feel like I'd run through a wall if I had a nice coffee before a basketball game, aren't you? Hey, it's been working so far. You're a pro now. So
Yeah.
did that carry over? Are you still doing that now?
Oh yeah. I have to.
I got connected with some of your teammates, and I was just looking for stories. Right, there's not a whole lot written, particularly about women's basketball for whatever reason. So I'm trying to get the bio from your friends, and a common theme was kind of the class clown. Like you like to keep it light, and you like to make people laugh and have a good time. Um, is that something that just comes naturally, or did you ever find yourself kind of like, hey, like the team is down a little bit, we're like in a lull, like let's lighten it up?
Um I feel like I've just kind of always been like that, like especially around the people that I'm most comfortable with. So like teammates or like
Mm-hmm.
close friends or something. But yeah, like if I notice everyone's down, like depends how I'm feeling, but I do try to bring up like the energy. I think energy is like a huge thing,
Mm-hmm.
when and people you can feel people's energy. So when someone's got negative energy or like, they're down, like I feel like it's so easy for a team to feed off of that, you know.
Any road trip stories in your college experience? Like I know you guys had games in Winnipeg and stuff like that, so there must have been some long trips.
Oh my gosh. Well, Algoma, we had a ton of road trips because it's so far up north. We had to drive everywhere. So I do remember one time I think we were driving to Western, and it was quicker to go through the states.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're driving and all of a sudden like one of our tires like blew. So we're we're all like waiting on the side of the road. Like we all kind of brought like not everyone, but like most people went to one side of the bus because it was like really leaning. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we were there for like, honestly, like 3 hours. We were just there. I don't even know what we were doing. We were, I don't know what we did for 3 hours. I forgot. But we're all just waiting. And then finally, like, I don't know, I guess we were waiting for someone to come and like fix our
Mhm.
tire, and then they fixed it. And then I think like maybe like an hour goes by, maybe like 45 minutes, and another tire blew up or popped. I was like, we were like, what the hell? So, so it was like, okay, we're not making it to London tonight. Like,
Yeah.
so we ended up staying in this like really sketchy, like Super 8 motel or something. It was disgusting. Like, so, so we're there, we all like cram into like as like least rooms as possible. And the hotel was like disgusting. Like I knew that they didn't like clean anything. So we're here like sleeping on our like jackets.
You say your experience was with Algoma, considering it was a new program and just the basketball side of it? And
Like Algoma was, it was tough just because like, you know, you do feel super isolated. It's in Sault Ste. Marie, and like the closest place is Sudbury, which is like a 4 hour drive. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like it was tough, mentally for sure, and like physically. Like, you know, that we always had short bodies. Like, I feel like it's hard to get girls up there. You know, like they don't have
Mhm.
very much funding. It's also super far up north. They're like a new program, so basically, like practices were tough because there was never like subs. We did like a lot of conditioning. So overall, I think it was a really great learning experience for me. Like I think I developed a lot of like you know, I was able to be on my own, um, you know, and get through things by myself rather than like being at home with family or something and like having that to fall back on. But overall, it was tough, but I do think it was like worth the experience, and I met like some great people too in the
Mhm.
process. So yeah,
Do you think you're the first women's pro out of Algoma?
I think so.
Hey, still
Yeah.
counts.
Yeah.
Add to the resume. So you don't finish your career in Algoma, obviously. Um, how did the transfer come about, and what was kind of like an underrated part of the transfer process that people don't really think about?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't really aware about the like the rules and like
Mhm.
what you couldn't and couldn't do. So I was kind of like worried because like I wasn't happy at Algoma,
Mhm.
and I think I tried to like I wasn't happy after my first year, but I was like thinking, oh, maybe it's just because it's my first time away from home, and like, you know, maybe the second year will be better. And then it just kind of wasn't changing. Like I felt like I wasn't happy, so I wanted to look into other schools, but I was worried about either um like messing up my relationship with the coach at Algoma, or you know, losing a spot on the team if I didn't have anything. So I think I don't know if it was like February, like right when our regular season had ended, we got to go home for the week. So I was talking to my dad, and I knew you couldn't email coaches directly, so I got
Mhm.
my dad to email the coaches. Turns out it's the same thing, so you can't do that. I
Frowned
didn't know
upon.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I just wanted to see like if I had any options before going to my coach at Algoma and being like, "Hey, I'm not coming back."
Mhm.
But unfortunately, like he found out before I could say anything, and it wasn't really the best look, I would say. But basically, I should have just been honest from the beginning. I should have just been like,
Mhm.
I'm not really happy. I'm gonna look at other options." But I just reached out to a few coaches that like I feel like I could see myself playing for, and also I looked at the programs of other schools because I was taking law at Algoma,
Mhm.
and a lot of schools don't just have like a law, they'll have like a criminology or like criminal justice or something like that, and I didn't want to lose any credits, you know. So I emailed Carleton, Guelph, and Humber. I think like Guelph,
Hmm.
Humber. So
Yeah.
then, yeah, so then they all answered. So, and then once I tried to transfer to Guelph, Humber, I lost like a full year of school. So
Mhm.
to me, that wasn't worth it. But at Carleton, actually, everything transferred over. It was like a really long process, but basically, once I told my coach at Algoma like that I wasn't really happy and that I'm gonna leave, then I was still at Algoma for the next few months, and then I kind of was just trying to figure out where I was gonna go. It
Yeah.
was kind of
I reached out to Algoma coach, never heard back. So
yeah,
I'm guessing things are a little bit salty there. But yeah, it's so weird that you can't just have feelers out there and like imagine it's in everyone's best interest, right? If you could kind of transfer freely and then you get the coach more time to replace you and then it's just
yeah.
not beating around the bush. Um, but you go to Carleton and was it you have to sit out a year of the transfer? Is that correct? I thought I read something how you didn't get to play right away.
Yeah, you have to sit out a year. Yeah, so I had to redshirt for the full year.
Is that the year that Carleton won?
No, they won the year before I got there. So
Mhm.
my third year at Algoma, they won nationals.
So how did that factor into everything? Like, not only are you transferring to a place that has, the right undergrad, but you're transferring with a championship team. Like, did you have to sell yourself at all, or how did that work?
Honestly, I emailed Taffy, the coach at
Mhm.
the time, and he just gave me an opportunity. I don't know. I just
Mhm.
I was really shocked, to be honest. I didn't even think that he would answer me, but he just said like, yeah, like come, you can come for a visit. So I went up for a visit, and then that's when I started like the credit transfer process, which is really annoying, by the way. But that took a while, and it was pretty stressful because I was like waiting. I couldn't like say, "Oh yes, I'm coming," without
Mhm.
knowing my credits would transfer over. So it was kind of like a weird period where I was like, "I want to come, but I don't know
Yeah.
school." So basically, I just emailed him myself after I had told the Algoma coach, and him and I were in contact for a while. And then once I went home, uh, when exams were done in April, then I went and visited in May. So
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny because going into university, you said you're about playing time and the basketball side of it, and then
yeah,
you're about to transfer to the champs. You're like, do my credits transfer?
yeah, exactly. So
So you're you're transferring to a team that probably has a ton of chemistry coming off of a championship year. Um, and Carleton is always regarded as a good, proper basketball school. So how was kind of integrating yourself into what they had already established and just kind of like fitting in? Was that ever a thought, or was that it just kind of happened?
yeah, like I mean, I did think about it. I was like, I'm going to a team that just won nationals. Like, I hope I play. That was one thing. I was like, I hope like I actually play and get minutes and stuff. But the redshirt year was kind of worked out in my favor because it gave me a chance to kind of build those relationships with the players and with the coach and understand the Carleton system. Like I'm not used to like such structured basketball like that. So it gave me a chance to like see how I could fit in. And also I know that the national team or the group of girls that won nationals, I know there's a lot of graduating players anyways. So they weren't rebuilding, but they did have like a lot of new faces. So
Hmm.
I was just one of those people.
And it
So
makes the process fitting in easier when I guess everyone's trying to fit in, right?
yeah, exactly. Like obviously they had their some returning girls that were solid, had like big roles, but I think like the redshirt year helped a lot just so I could really just see where I could fit in and get a hang of how Carleton's system is.
So the men's program at Carleton is obviously almost like renowned, right? They're beating D1 schools in the States. They have, this next level defense that no one can figure out, but everyone's trying to replicate. Um, was there any kind of relationship between the men's and women's team? And did you guys ever get to pick each other's brains a little bit, or like practice, or was there any sort of integration between the men and women's team?
Um, Not really in my redshirt year, but this past season, Dave Smart took the director of basketball operations position,
Mhm.
so he overlooked both of the programs. So really, last year was just like me relearning everything because it was kind of like Dave Smart's system.
Mhm.
So everything I had learned the year before that, it was kind of like not necessarily like scratched out. Like obviously we still took some things from that, but we learned like the I guess the Carlton way of
Mhm.
things. So but my redshirt year, I feel like the men and women's programs weren't really integrated in that sense.
What was your best game in college, rather Algoma or Carleton? Do you have one game where you're just like, yeah, that was the game for me?
Oh, well, I mean, in my first year, I wouldn't say it was the game, but like
Mhm.
I had a 23 points in
Mhm.
our only win of that season. Um, and that just being a rookie and having
Mhm.
that much and like making that much impact on a in a game, like the feeling was like surreal. I never felt that before. I was like when I was shooting, I was like, how why am I making all these? Like, oh my gosh. Like it was crazy. So that definitely is a game that stuck with me. Like I would think back to that and like just being a rookie, it just felt it was a really nice feeling also to come out with a win.
Mhm.
Um and I'd probably say my senior night at Carleton, we played Brock. Brock's obviously one of the top teams in the league, and I think we beat them by like 15 without our best player. So yeah, that was probably another good game too.
So between um, 9 years old and by your own definition being trash at basketball to senior night at Carleton, what were kind of like the marquee moments in that like pathway that like things started to turn for you, and like maybe you got a huge confidence boost from this person, or like there was this game in high school where like you started thinking I can go pro, or what were like sort of like the major moments between those two periods?
Um, well, I know a major moment was when I would play on the Hamilton Spectator All-Star team. I don't know if you've heard of that. So it's like
Mhm.
public, Catholic, Halton, and Brant, I would think. So
Mhm.
when I got selected for that, I think 2 years, I was like, okay, like I'm actually good. I'm not like, like if I'm playing, representing like the Hamilton Public Board, like
Mhm.
that was huge for me. So I think like that was definitely something that was big. But I think as just like time went on throughout high school, I just spent a lot of time in the gym.
Mhm.
I didn't really know what I was doing. Like I would just go to the YMCA right beside my high school and I would just, like work out or I'd do some drills and stuff. So I think just like that constant work that I put in, it just eventually gave me confidence and thinking like, okay, like I can actually play at a high level. So
Yeah. A question I ask a lot during this, and that Instagram asked this time, was if you could go back and tell yourself anything, let's say 9-year old Marlee, what would you tell her?
uh I'd probably tell myself not to be so hard on myself. I'm pretty hard on myself even till this day. I've obviously gotten better, but like
Hmm.
I think I like brought myself down so much that it made things so much more difficult than it needed to be. So
Was
that's
there ever
probably yeah,
sorry,
the main thing I would say.
was there ever an instance where you like were super tough on yourself and then you realized maybe this isn't the most conducive thing for me?
I thought that a few times. I can't really think of like a specific moment, but there's definitely some
Mhm.
times I sat there and I'm what is this doing for me? Like it's not gonna
Yeah.
help the situation. So it's just hard to get out of that when you're thinking so much and you're just like you think so negatively about yourself. Like it's hard to get out of that sort of um, you know.
Yeah, for sure. What about um, female basketball in general, women's basketball in general? Was there anything out of the ordinary that you thought you had to deal with throughout your timeline, or did it seem pretty normal?
Um, the one thing I will say is growing up, it was just really hard to find like female basketball players. Like either the female basketball players I knew, they wouldn't want to come in and train or have runs. Like you don't
Yeah.
really go to the YMCA and see a bunch of girls running. So it kind of sucked because like it kind of sucked, but it also I feel like worked out in my favor because I would grow up playing with guys all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was tough, but again, I think it was like good for me. I think it taught me to be like stronger mentally, not really care what people think about me in a way because I would go into a gym full of guys playing basketball. It was really intimidating, especially being so young, but eventually like it would be like a weekly thing. So
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's why you're a good shooter?
I think so because I when you play with a bunch of guys, you're not gonna like drive on them.
I don't even drive, and I'm bigger than most of them. Like,
Yeah, I think that's why, honestly, because I would just shoot all the time. And like when I would go in and work out on my own, I would just shoot all the time because it was fun. So
yeah, so we cracked the code there. We figured something
yeah.
out. Mhm. And now that you're in Cardiff, which is in Wales, which is in the UK, which I learned today,
Yeah.
um, um, how has just the experience been like when we'll back up a little bit. When you get the offer or you get like, the mutual interest to play pro, who were you with and how exciting was that? And what was that process like?
Well, actually, the Cardiff coach reached out to me in September or August. I don't know, like pretty
Yeah.
much when I had just signed with my agent.
Hmm.
But obviously with COVID and stuff, um, it was just like a weird time, I think.
Hmm.
They didn't even play until November, I believe. So it was good that I didn't go in September.
Hmm.
But it was exciting. Like I didn't even know England had basketball, like professional basketball. So I looked into the league and I was like, wow, this is like a really cool league. I play in the WBBL.
Hmm.
So when I was looking at it, I was looking at the girls that are in it, and I thought it was like amazing. I was like, I didn't know it existed. So that was pretty cool. I told my dad, and my dad was so happy because he was born in England. So he's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
That is another place in the UK.
Yes. I thought
Mm.
Wales was England, but I found out
Yeah.
that it wasn't. It's a whole
Yeah.
nother country. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
no, it was just like a really nice feeling that, you know, a team was interested in me. So
So, um, you go to Cardiff, you sign the contract, and this was about a month ago now, or how long has it been?
I think I signed in December, I think
Hmm.
at some point. And then my flight was originally booked for December 27th, but long story short, my team had to quarantine until the 30th, I
Hmm.
believe. So she was like, "You're just gonna sit here, so maybe I'll just push your flight back a bit." She pushed it back about like a week and a bit, so I didn't get here until January 4th or 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, um, I guess you haven't had too much experience there yet, but would you say there's any sort of basketball culture there, or how do they treat sports differently over there than they do here? And are you enjoying that?
Oh, I think Canada definitely is big on basketball compared to
Hmm.
here. Like I
Hmm.
think here their bigger sports are like rugby and soccer.
Hmm.
So I don't think basketball gets like a lot of funding and stuff, which is unfortunate because some of the girls here are really good. You know, I think they deserve to, and it's professional too. It's the top league in the UK, so you'd think there'd be more funding into it, but from what I'm getting, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of funding, a whole lot of money coming in, you
Hmm.
know. But the my team specifically, I could tell that they just like run like we ran at Carleton, but it was very system like based. It was like everything had some type of structure to it. Whereas here it's like their main thing is like being disruptive on defense, playing the full court, man to man, trapping, and the offense is more like loose. Like it's more
Hmm.
like four out, one in, and you can kind of like you come off a screen or you it's really like I like it because it's like you're not limited to certain things. Like you can kind of just do like just
Hmm.
play basketball. So
Do you have any expectations for yourself out there, or how are you going to approach this first year specifically?
I'm just gonna play as hard as I can, especially like with COVID. It has been so hard to just find a gym.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm super grateful to be practicing every day. We're not playing games at the moment, but we should be soon. So once we start playing games, I just want to get my name out there. You know, people don't really know who I am, so it would be nice to like make some type of impact on the league. So
Mhm.
I just want to do what I can, you know.
There's the segment that we do towards the end of each podcast called Not So Rapid Fire. Basically, I'm just going to shoot a bunch of questions at you and the best you can, try to get them off as quickly as possible, but hence the name Not So Rapid Fire because I might just follow up anyways. So
Oh
it might
jeez.
drag. Yeah. So this is where a lot of the Instagram questions come from. Okay, so we'll start off with this. Your tarp, your top three music artists of all time.
Oh my god, that's a hard one. Uh, this is stressing me out. Tupac.
Okay.
Uh,
Your top three, not what you think people want to hear. So
no, no, no.
you're being
I
honest.
swear. Tupac. I love 50 Cent and J. Cole.
Hey, you got 90s, 2000s, and 2010s in there. Okay, you got a good mix.
Yeah.
Um, one of these songs are about to get erased forever. Okay, so you have the two buttons in here. You got to press one of these two buttons. The button you press, that song is gone forever. No one can ever listen to it ever again. There's no bootleg copies. It's just gone. Okay. So you
Okay.
want to talk about pressure? Over here, we have Let It Go by Kesha Cole or Foolish by Ashanti. Which one are you deleting permanently?
Let it go.
Oh, you didn't even think about it really. I was told those are your two favorite artists, but okay. Ashanti wins. um, who would you have rather taken you to prom? Donald Glover or Michael B. Jordan?
Michael B. Jordan.
I've been fed some terrible intel people. I thought you were going to think about these. There was a lot of guys that are asking, and yeah, there are guys. They're asking, who's the best guy you ever played with? Blah 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 blah.
Oh
But
god.
I want to kind of flip it on its head and ask you, who's a guy that you can absolutely 100% just give a bucket to right now? And my guess is Andrew Latham.
I mean, he's pretty athletic. He blocked me a few times, I think. I'm trying to think.
She's giving you credit that you don't deserve, Andrew.
Oh man, that's a hard one. I don't
Come on,
know.
throw someone under the bus. Be like, I'll get this guy a bucket, no problem. All those guys at the Y, they got buckets.
Well, they weren't really like they didn't play like
Uh,
university or anything. They were just like one of those guys that comes to play. Oh no.
who's the one guy at runs that you're just like, oh, thank God, this is my, I'm getting my shot off here.
It's always the big guys. It
Yeah.
has because like the little like quick defenders, like no,
Mhm.
I'm not
Are you
gonna be
shooting
able.
over the big guy, or are you taking him?
Well, they don't really come up close to me, so I feel like they give me a lot of space.
All right, whoever mysterious big guy is, you just got a bucket. Uh, who's your WNBA goat?
um, Unfortunately, it wasn't until recently that I watched the WNBA.
Yeah.
But um, honestly, I really like Sub. Oh, she's not a goat though. Like she is not
No.
WNBA. Like
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean,
She is
probably
fun to watch.
Sabrina
Yeah.
Ionescu's great. I would say Sue Bird. I love the way
Okay.
she plays. Like it's clear she has like she's amazing.
hmm
She
Who
has.
else do you like watching in that league?
Pardon?
Who else do you like watching in that league? I know you said you just started out, but
Um, Sue Bird, obviously. I don't know. I like Kelsey Plum a lot, but she was injured.
mhm.
Um, she's good. There's
I
a lot of
just got
talent.
I just got introduced to not like physically introduced to her, but like I was doing like research for this podcast, and I was just trying to get the landscape a little bit, and I for like I knew like obviously Kia Nurse, and I knew Sabrina, and I knew Seabird and kind of like the goats and the Canadians, but like yeah, Kelsey Plum, she was like they said she was like the female James Harden. And I
Yeah,
watched her
she's
hype.
she's
She's a
she's a
bucket.
lefty, and she
Yeah.
plays very similar, I guess. So no,
hmm
but she's good. I watched her a little bit in university, so that was, and I like Brianna Stewart too.
hmm
She plays like every position. Like she can play a guard, she can play a post. She's super lanky, but
That leads into my next question. Really good. Who do you model your game after, boy or girl?
oh, I don't know. I got that question quite a bit. I don't know. There's no one in particular that I watched and like kind of tried to I feel like I kind of just look around like if I want to work on a specific move, like I'll just look up like a player that does that move well. Like there's
hmm
no one specific that I would model my game off of, I would say.
Again, leading into my next question, what is your go-to move? Like, what's the I guess your most unstoppable or most comfortable move that you go to?
Well, if it's not a three, then I like to drive to my left and do like either just like a pull up
hmm
or I'll do like a bank layup in the middle.
Yeah.
I do that a lot. That's like in my mixtape like 20 times. And I love the left side bank shot.
hmm
Like, when I'm coming down, I feel like that's a really tough shot because obviously I'm tall and
hmm
I'm driving down. Like, it's either like great or, it can be a little bit of a brick sometimes. So, but no one's blocked it.
I watched your tape too, and there's one thing that kind of struck me. I don't know if this is by design or not, or if this is something you work on, but one of the I guess biggest flaws in a lot of players is they hesitate on open threes. So they'll get the hesitation and like they freeze up for a second and they just jack it up anyways, and it's brick. But I saw on your tape quite a bit that you've taken your time on a few threes, and it looked like a little bit of hesitation, but you're still knocking them down. Like I actually saw that like time and time again. So like, is that something that you ever worked on, or is it just kind of like in the flow of the game where you've just never felt uncomfortable doing that?
I think it's just like I've never really felt uncomfortable. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when I hesitate, it's like I think like, oh no, is this kind of a bad shot? But then I see the
Mhm.
person's giving me space, so I just shoot it anyways.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm better. Like I do have a pretty quick release, but I feel like I'm better when I just take a second to shoot
Yeah.
it, you know? But I can still shoot it like right away. But
Okay. Yeah, it's just something that struck me. It's like it's uncommon, right? That
yeah,
people can do that. Anyways, back to the game. Worst topping on pizza.
olives. I hate olives.
Okay. Biggest pet peeve.
Oh, I have multiple.
All right. Top three.
I don't like um when you're walking and someone's like behind you and you hear their feet. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like just past me.
How could anybody control that? Like,
No, like when they're like really close, you know when like cars tailgate each other, it's like when a person is essentially tailgating me, like it's when we're walking, like it's annoying,
is
like
it
just
this?
past
It's
me.
this. Is it the sound or the fact that they're so close behind you?
Both the sound and the fact that they're like right behind me, like I'll look back and they're like so, like just go around me.
I get the being close. That's kind of weird, but like the sound is just like that's nobody's fault. Like I feel like you gotta talk that out with someone later because that's just it's a lot. I hate knowing that there's people behind me. Like the sound of it, just
No, like
I
it's
hate,
like when they're really close and they're just like not passing me, like you know what I
yeah,
mean?
I get that. That part is fine.
Yeah.
It's just the sound of other people's shoes behind me. I've never heard that as a complaint.
Ugh. I have a few pet peeves. I can't really think about them right now.
Well, I'm sure they're gonna be equally as riveting.
Well, they're like the basic ones, like when people
Like
that
read in libraries and go swimming in public pools. Like it's just
I didn't mean like the shoe sound. I just like the noise,
yeah.
and I hear they're right behind me, and I'm like, okay, like you can pass me.
Um, this actually might be my last question. Wow, I did not get a whole lot in here, but the best basketball movie.
Oh, that's a tough one. Um, I feel like Coach Carter is the best. It's just a
Mhm.
classic. It's got all the feels in it. You know,
Yeah.
it's a
No,
movie you can watch more than once and not get bored of it, I would say.
oh, it holds up. It holds up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was not so rapid fire. Um, this was Marlee Ball. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Do you know yet if your games are going to be like live streamed or anything that we could kind of send out to the people?
Yeah, so they're gonna be live streamed on YouTube.
Mm.
I like when I've watched my team play when I was back home, I would just look up like our team Cardiff met Archers WBBL, and then usually there was uh either if it was like home or away, they would be live streaming it. So
Awesome. So we'll be on the lookout for that for sure.
yeah,
Thanks again so much for joining me and my small little program here. But we're
yeah.
growing.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right. See you guys.